All right, greetings everybody. This is an exciting day because this is the second time I have had the opportunity to talk with my friend Nicholas, aka Mr. Pink, aka Modern Synthesis, aka Not Nick. So the first time we attempted to chat, it did not work out so well. It was the first time we had
My
chatted, though.
fault. Entirely my
Well,
fault. Let's be
well, you
clear.
know.
Technology, but my technology.
So we waited until we kind of forgot completely about our previous conversation, and we're just going to do it again for y'all. So thank you for being here, Nicholas.
Thanks for having me, Drew. And I told you before that my middle name is Drew, right?
You did. I forgot, though.
Good. Well, no, when you said
Look
hey,
at-
you want to do this again? I forgot everything. I'm like, I've also forgotten everything.
Yes.
It'll
Oh,
be
that's
natural.
amazing.
Good.
That's perfect.
My middle name is Drew, and I once worked at a bakery where there was already someone named Nick. So when I got there, she'd been there before me. So she's like, you need a new name. And I'm like, my middle name is Drew. So there's like a slice of the world where if they say Nick, I won't respond, only if they say Drew.
Nice. I think you once told me you did not prefer Nick anymore, though.
I have a thing.
Are you okay
where,
with Nick?
I go with Nicholas at work because when someone says Nicholas, I feel like it's my mom. So when you want to like be at your best behavior and like be maximally achieving, I feel like you should feel like your mom's yelling at you. So that's why I go with Nicholas.
That's amazing. That's really cool. Well, I get that though, because whenever I'm working from home, I make sure that I'm uncomfortable because I think you should not be too comfortable at work. So when I have my work from home days, I usually sit at the kitchen table on a bench, which is extraordinarily uncomfortable, and I usually dress normally. I don't wear my PJs all day, so it helps me personally to just kind of like get a different mindset because otherwise I feel like I'm at home and lazy and I can't do that. You kind of have to fool yourself. So yeah, your way is to feel like everyone is your angry mother. I like that.
Exactly. And it works. And the weird thing is that it's so successful that people at my day job will call me Nick and my colleagues will be like, no, it's Nicholas. And I'm like, excellent.
He's in business mode now. Don't nick him.
Really, I have this weird identity online. So people call me Pinky. People call me Mr. Pink. Some people call me Nick. It's weird when people refer to me as Modern Synthesis. They're like, hey, Modern Synthesis. I'm like, okay, I created that for a URL, not for anyone to ever put it in their mouth. So thank you for getting it right.
Well, yeah, you're very welcome. Now there is some pretty significant, self-definition behind the term modern synthesis because you do have a habit of synthesizing in your hobbies, don't you?
Yes. Apparently I've got one right here that I'm synthesizing. So my whole thing is that I got into Warhammer 40K, Warhammer 40,000 at a young age, and it was cool. I enjoyed it, but the thing that I really fell in love with, like, it's about like building miniatures and painting miniatures, and then you play a game with the miniatures. And the longer I was in the hobby, the more I realized that I didn't love the game was fine, but I really enjoyed the building aspect of them. And specifically, I learned to love sculpting miniatures, which is not a super easy thing to do. So
especially not at that scale.
No, they're very small. So you need like the right tools and you need like the right materials and all that kind of stuff. But it was something where I taught myself how to do it. Like I'm not a professionally trained sculptor by any means. And once I taught myself how to do it, I realized that it's not easy, but it's not as hard as people think. So when people would come to me and they'd be like, oh my God, I wish I could do that, I would just say to them, you can, and here's how. So that's what I do on my YouTube. I create videos that show people how to sculpt miniatures, as well as do like live streams where I show people my work on miniatures and like what kind of tools I use and what kind of strategies I use, just to kind of demystify the idea of sculpting miniatures. These days it's gotten a little weird because we have 3D printers now, and a lot of people are sculpting miniatures on their computers, which is cool. That works too. I really like the tactile aspect of doing it myself using like epoxy putties. And I want to keep teaching people that as long as they're willing to create miniatures without involving another screen. Like, I think that's one of the good things about it, not staring at another screen.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that there's probably some room for a little bit of both, right? If you wanted to sculpt a piece, you still need to, attach that piece. Have you gotten into the 3D printing aspect at all yet?
I have used 3D printed, I don't know, I don't do a lot of 3D printed stuff, but I have used 3D printed miniatures. And I have gone to a friend who has like a resin printer to create some stuff for other miniatures that I'm working on. My thing is that like I'm not trained as a 3D sculptor. I'm sure I could try to get myself up on that, just like I got myself up on sculpting physically. But the reality is that I'd rather be doing stuff with my hands and not doing stuff on screen, because when I'm at my day job, I'm working on a screen. When I'm looking at my phone, I'm looking at a screen. When I'm at home making videos or whatever, I'm looking at a screen. So this is one really cool way that I can not look at a screen. And that's what I tell myself. Really, I'm probably just like being a Luddite and like, "Oh, I don't want to get into that 3D
No,
stuff."
no, I don't think that's it at all. And of course, the reality is you and I met each other because we were pen people, and we
Yeah.
formed a connection regarding fountain pens, and that is along the same lines where you seek to take a little bit of a break from the digital world and you want
Yes.
to immerse yourself in something a little bit more tactile, something a little
Yeah.
bit more connective, where you have more of an intimate connection with what could be like a very normal process, or taking a normal process and just kind of like elevating it a little bit. So I totally get that. I mean, obviously I speak to people who have that same sentiment all the time. And so you can look at sculpting, fountain pens, knitting. There's a lot of ways that you don't have to do, but if you want to have more of an analog, tactile, connective experience, I think these things are super important, and I absolutely applaud anyone who is going out of their way to not only find that themselves, but to advocate for it and to encourage and educate others. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, like you definitely get it from the pen angle that um just recently I was in a completely different community online on Discord with people not at all talking about fountain pen stuff, but someone was just sharing that they had gotten, I thought it was a vanishing point, but it's whatever the Jin Hao version of a vanishing point
Yeah,
is.
which are pretty solid, by the way.
Yeah, apparently, but like, and it got people talking about fountain pens, and then someone commented like, why don't you? Someone was talking about going back to school, and they got a fountain pen because they wanted to use it with taking notes at school, and someone's like, I don't understand. Why don't you just take notes on your laptop? And I was like, why don't you just like not like have a way to not be looking at another screen? And it's I think that like physical and tactile things are important, especially as we get more and more digital. And I this is a totally separate thing that I don't know if you want to talk about, but like the whole like using AI for creation, it makes me
Ah,
like you can do cool shit. I get it, but like I don't know if I'm supposed to swear. You can do cool stuff with AI.
no,
I
you can
get
say
it.
shit.
Okay. But it's just like my concern is losing the ability to do it yourself
Yeah.
and losing the joy of doing it yourself and like the input of doing it yourself. So that's why I'm very analog with how I make miniatures and how like I choose to still use pens and have like a day timer and a journal sort of thing to use the pens. And it's just fun. Like it's fun to do stuff with your hands in a different way that like doing stuff on a computer is.
100%. And I think that a lot of folks don't really realize how badly they do need a screen break until they give it to themselves.
Yeah.
Like,
One thing,
we
Drew,
all need it.
I just thought of this because you have done like you do a lot of tactile stuff in addition to pens. You do like the kind of cosplay. I don't know how much you do like costume stuff other than for your son, because like you make a lot of
Zero.
stuff for him. But
Zero.
I know you've
If I had a little bit more self-esteem or confidence, I would gladly parade around a convention wearing an outfit, but I am terrified of people paying too much attention to me. It's a weird thing. It's like, I'm fine if it's like my choice, but
yeah.
when it's not and it's just happening, I don't know, that freaks me out.
You dude, just go with a masked costume.
That
Totally
that
masked.
that might not be so bad.
But
I could do like a full stormtrooper armor or something like that.
because like having watched you do that stuff for Archer and with Archer, like you started off very physical, but now that you've gotten a bit into 3D printing, have you found yourself doing more 3D printing for your costume work or?
Oh, definitely. It's a time saver, and with him, sometimes he's not very specific about what he wants. He just wants a shoulder pad, something either very sleek or very kind of like military chunky-ish. And you can since he's not super specific, I don't really need to do anything really custom. I can generally find something online. In last year, he had Sabine Wren's shoulder pad on the left, a Helldiver shoulder pad on the right, Ahsoka Tano's, bracers, so it was like all over the place. And then, of course, a bunch of Assassin's Creed stuff as well. So it was a big old hodgepodge, but
Oh,
it,
okay.
it served it well. Now, if you need something more specific, like, if you are creating your very own something, then yeah, I would need to find out how to model, which terrifies me. I've never even dabbled in that, but I'd like to. I want to know it, but I'm too lazy
Yeah.
to actually learn it.
Yeah.
But no, I do appreciate that tactile feeling, and I do enjoy writing. I do enjoy doing modifications on Game Boys. I do enjoy cleaning old Nintendo cartridges. So I definitely like doing things with my hands from time to time and kind of delving deep into a tactile project. I wish I did it more, honestly, because I find that I go through ebbs and flows, I guess, but I would like to do more of it for sure.
Yeah, that's natural. Like I talk about building miniatures, but I didn't paint a miniature for like a whole year. I think more than a year I haven't painted a miniature. So it definitely ebbs and flows. And even like the building of miniatures, I didn't do as much of it over the summer. It's more inspiring to do it when you're super snowed in like we are right now. But yeah,
How,
so
how
like
are
the ebbs
things
and
up
flows
there, by
are
the way?
natural. What's it's freaking cold. I'm
Yeah.
in Toronto, Canada, biggest city in Canada, and it's minus 14 or minus 16 Celsius today. I don't know how that equates to Fahrenheit. I think that's like that's in the minuses of
Yeah.
Fahrenheit, I think.
Well,
And
close. Yeah.
and we're supposed to get something like 20 centimeters of snow, so like almost a foot of snow
Yeah.
today. But it's because it's so cold, the snow is like super light and fluffy. But I've already had to shovel twice, and I'll
That's
probably have
kind
to
of
shovel again.
that's kind of the opposite of what we're getting down here in Virginia. Ours is very icy. It's
What?
been a very
Oh,
consistent, downpour of very, very, very fine kind of frozen rain, sort of. But it's
gross.
definitely snow, but it's not fluffy at all.
Yeah.
It's just heavy and kind of clumpy. So we'll see. It's not a lot. It's like but it's been coming down. So we'll see. Tomorrow probably not a work day. We'll see. But yeah, it's okay. The corgis aren't drowning or anything, so I
Good.
appreciate that. I did put down tarps in the backyard so that I could lift them up and have some more natural potty zones, but haven't had to do that yet. Yeah. I was
Okay.
actually walking around. I was in the Starbucks line at Target yesterday, talking to the barista there, and the barista and the lady that was behind me were talking about how that's really helpful. So I was like, okay, thank you, Target ladies. I will do that. And I did. Yeah.
I've never, my dog loves the snow. We've got a Springer Spaniel, and he will like dig his nose in it and like go through it like mole style. So we don't have to worry. We let him out in the snow and he's just like jumping around loving life.
Yeah, no, they love it too. We have one dog that is approaching her final
Yeah.
times, and she has not super strong back legs. She can't go down the stairs or anything like that. So she can get around, but if it got bad, like a foot, she would not be able to go anywhere. So
Yeah.
I at least wanted to prepare for that. But they do love it, and she was
Good.
probably more excited than she should have been with her spinal
Aw.
issue. But
Yeah.
if this is it's weird because we need to kind of keep her calm and not moving around so much, but also she's not going to be with us much longer, and I don't want to
Yeah.
keep her in a prison for her final year either. So
Good
we
point.
got to kind of have that balance. But I don't want to stop her from having some joyous romps in the snow.
I'm sorry you guys are
Um,
dealing with that. We love me and my wife, we love your corgis. My wife has been obsessed with corgis for a long time, and she's kind of like sold me on the idea that we should get a corgi. And I was like, yeah, we'll get a corgi when we're like, old, because for some reason I think that they'd be less work when we're old, but more and more I see them and they're super cute, and we think about getting one sooner than that.
I mean, I can say nothing but good things. I mean, no, I can say plenty of bad things. They're extraordinarily hairy. Your house is going to be covered in hair. Like it just
Yeah.
collects along the baseboards and things like that.
Yeah.
They don't they self shed, so they don't need to require any grooming or anything like that. But extremely hairy and loud.
Okay.
They bark a lot.
I've heard that.
A lot. But they're great because they're smaller dogs. I mean, I guess your smaller spaniels are kind of like that too, where they're smallish dogs, but you can still like kind of like be a little rough with them and not feel like they're gonna like break or anything like that.
Yes.
So they're not tiny dogs. They're hardy. So I appreciate that. I don't want like a big dog, but I want a hardy dog. I don't want like a little tiny, like, closer to a, guinea pig sized dog. I'm like, nah, I want a real dog.
So my evaluation for that is any dog that you can lift in one hand.
Yeah.
That is not a dog.
Too
That's
small.
No. That's like the kind of thing you eat. Like,
yes.
If you need two hands to lift your dog, you have a proper dog.
Yes. My brother also has corgis. He followed my lead and he just recently adopted one. 50 pounds. This dog is it's a big dog. And he's overweight, but he's just a big dog. You look at his paws. He's just a huge corgi. Okay. And so they can range. 50 pounds is definitely not normal, but you can go from like about 25 to 40 depending on just the dog's frame.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're delightful. I would say definitely do it. I had a question about this. I don't know if I got to ask you last time, but I forgot everything, so it doesn't matter. The Y on your hat, on your logo, on your YouTube channel, Modern Synthesis, like it's M and S, and where's the Y? Why?
This is a very good question. Wait, first of all, the synthesis part. Did you ever play Final Fantasy 9?
Yeah.
Is that the one? That's the one with Zidane, right?
It is.
Looks kind of like David Bowie sort of thing.
Yes.
So the synthesis comes from, in that game, you go to a shop called a synthesis shop, and it's like instead of a weapons shop, and you like take your old weapons and you like turn them into new weapons or something.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's fully where I stole that from. And then the Y thing with the blue and the yellow and the green. People I didn't realize this, but on a pink background, people are like, "Why is your logo Marge Simpson?" And I'm like, because it's got like the blue, like the hair, and then it's got like the yellow, like her skin.
I have
and the green
never
of her
made that
dress.
connection.
I had not made that connection until recently. But the answer is that when I'm sculpting with miniatures, we use something that we refer to in the community as green stuff. It's a 2-part epoxy putty, and it comes like this. So it's like it's blue part and yellow part. And just like that scene in Mission Impossible where he has the gum and you put the 2 parts of the gum together and then it explodes.
Yes.
You put the 2 parts of the putty together and then it turns into plastic.
Nice.
But it usually is sold, it's a terrible way to buy it, but it's sold in like a ribbon where like there's a left side and a right side, and one side is yellow and one side is blue. And then you blend the ribbon together and it turns green.
Sure.
So the logo is the yellow part and the blue part blending together to green. It's supposed to be done like...
That's really cool, actually.
So one gets it.
So it's not a Y.
It is a Y. It's the Y from Synthesis.
Oh, okay, gotcha. But it's also just the ribbon.
Yeah, it's the ribbon. Yeah, that's the... everyone always asks me. It doesn't make any sense. I don't expect anyone to know it.
No, it makes perfect sense. I love it.
Yeah, so that's where
I love that. Oh, that's super cool. That is super cool. And the pink thing... I do remember talking to you about this because prior to our first conversation, I was like, I just wondered, I'm like, has he always been doing this pink thing? So I went on your Instagram and I just started scrolling. And I'm like, my God, this dude was like in high school just wearing some pink. Like,
okay, so I'm older than I look.
Yeah, you're about like 665, right?
Yeah, you know, I'm actually 66, but no, the pink thing, I was actually thinking about this randomly today where it happened. It started with Reservoir Dogs, like Mr. Pink, Steve Buscemi, and Reservoir Dogs, where I hadn't even seen Reservoir Dogs, but I'd seen a clip or I'd heard a wave. Remember back in the day when we would get like wave files and we'd like assign them different things on Windows, and you'd like open a file
or Winamp.
Or Winamp, yeah. So I think I'd heard a wave file or something of Steve Buscemi being like, "Oh, why do I have to be Mr. Pink?" And they're like, "Oh, I want to be Mr. White." And it's like, "Oh, there's Mr. White in your area." And then he's like, "Oh, why do I have to be Mr. Pink?" And the guy's like, "Oh, because you're a f***," or something like that. And I don't know why, but something about it, I thought it was hilarious. So I just used it as like, back in the old days of the internet before we used our real names for anything and you needed to have handles, I just created the handle Mr. Pink. And I wasn't wearing any pink at the time. I was just Mr. Pink on like these online communities. Like when I do Warhammer, for anyone who's familiar with Warhammer 40k, I have been interested in a certain faction of Warhammer 40k called Tyranids. since I was, oh, actually, where is it? Tyranid book right there. This is my first ever Tyranid book from when I was in like grade 9 in like 1997 or something.
And they're kind of like insectoidy.
Yeah, Zerg. If you're familiar with StarCraft, they're very Zergy. If you're familiar with Helldivers, they're the things that you fight in Helldivers. Everyone sends me Helldiver stuff with like the big monster bug things. I've not played Helldivers, but that's basically what Tyranids are. So there was this early community, which was like a message board, and on there, I just like created the handle Mr. Pink, and then got really involved in the community through that. And the wearing of pink came after, out of the Mr. Pink thing. But
that's crazy.
And
that's cool.
It's a bit extreme. Like
you just leaned into it.
Yeah, like I've got like a pink shirt on here and like another pink shirt. I got the hat. But I've leaned into it a little, probably a bit too much. Like, here's my phone case. I'm working on a mat here that's pink. I have like a toolbox here that's pink.
I think that's cool because it takes. I'm a big fan of arbitrary rules because sometimes, you know, my ADHD brain just gets really overwhelmed by decisions. And if I have, there you go. If I have some arbitrary guidelines in place, it just makes decision making so much easier. And like personally, I know that I don't need to even think about pink in my wardrobe because I have pink skin for the most part, and I just stay away from that because I am,
maybe not as pink, but there's times.
No, I'm a very pink person. You see a picture between like me, my wife, my kid, like they're like kind of just like normal pale. I'm like something else. My brother too. I don't know why we're pink people, but we are. But it's nice. It's nice to know, hey, you know what? This is not for me. Hey, this is for me. And for you, it's like, okay, cool. If I'm picking a new mouse pad or a toolbox or a razor handle, like, is there a pink one? Great, let's do that. Move on. You know, I like it.
And for fountain pen purposes, I don't know.
There you go. Is that Ink Studio?
Yep, Studio 431. This is the pinkest pink there ever was. So I have this like. I bought myself a Urushi custom, whatever, big fancy one for my 40th birthday, and this has always got 431 in it.
I love that.
I'm probably gonna ruin the pen, but it just cycles 431.
No. Sailor's safe. Sailor's very safe. The Japanese ink companies, they're very practical when it comes to their ink. They make it for active use. So Japanese ink can, in my experience, always be trusted with even the nicest pens. So no, you'll be all right. Sweet. I wanted to mention to everybody that overall, I we've been chatting since 2022. It's been quite a long time, and we're just now being able to chat IRL kind of. But in the time I've known you, and I'm sorry to have to say this, but you are an extremely kind person. You are compassionate, you are understanding, you are empathetic, and it's been a delight, frankly. But I wanted to just, I wanted to shout you out because you were one of, if not the most impactful person when I lost my job, about a year and a half ago. You really helped me through that. A lot of folks may or may not know, but you came up with my channel's logo because you, just being a kind, generous person, took a selfie that I had taken, just kind of letting everybody know that, like, hey, I'm okay. Here's a thumbs up, all is well. And I was wearing my jean jacket, and you took that, got commissioned a illustration based off of that, and just said, hey, here's the thing. I got it made for you. You can do whatever you want with it. And that became, the sort of impetus for creating some stickers that I sold, which then gave me the capital to create this, some lights, a camera, a mic, and start my own channel. So because of that selfless generosity, that proactive, hey, thinking about you, buddy, it really had a pretty solid ripple effect that I just wanted to say thank you for.
Drew, that's the best way that it possibly could have worked out. From my angle, I'm someone who can get very impassioned about things. And when you lost your job, I was mad. I was extremely mad. And I had two options. I could go down the angry mad path and go into like the fountain pen Reddit and make sure that I was adding fuel to all the fire that was on there, a bunch of other people who might have gotten mad when you lost your job. Or I could try and kill someone with kindness and try and like channel that fury into something that could be productive, and somehow it worked. So I'm glad it worked, because I was mad because you are a very, I don't know you, but from everything I've seen of you in the many hours on the internet, you strike me as a very kind and generous person. You strike me as someone who has a lot of love for people who aren't necessarily part of your various like community or group or whatever. Like, it seems like you have a lot of love for a lot of people. You were always very positive. You made me buy far too many fountain pens, which I will fault you for, but you also like randomly sent me this awesome case that's like pink and fuzzy on the inside just for the heck of it, but like not like silly little practical things. Like, you just seem like a genuinely kind and like good-hearted person. And I have experience with being fired. I was fired twice from 2 different jobs back to back, and I have firsthand experience with like how shitty that can make you feel. And like, I can't exactly comment on like where you were at your job before you lost it, but the first time that I was ever fired from a job was at an organization where I felt like I got the culture, I got the community. Like, I like tried hard to know everyone's name and be friends with everyone. And so when I lost that job, I was gutted, like completely gutted. So and then the second time I lost, no wait, was that the first time? Yeah, the second time I was fired, that was like a much longer period, and like I had to try and like motivate myself by doing creative things, and I found that doing creative pursuits really helped me feel valuable while I was trying to find a new job. And during that period was when my then girlfriend proposed to me. I was unemployed, and she asked me to marry her. And I was like, are you crazy? I don't have a job right now. I'm worthless. And she's like, no, like, you're going to get another job. Like, don't worry about that. I'm not worried. You can see I'm not worried. I want to marry you. So, I mean, like, I couldn't propose to you because you were already married, but I wanted to do something that showed you how much there was random people on the internet who knew how amazing you were, how valuable you were, and how you had so much more to give. Because I don't know how much you felt that in that moment, because being in that place, it was hard for me to feel valued. So I just wanted to find some random thing that might put a smile on your face and might make you feel valued. So I'm glad it worked.
It definitely did. And there were a lot of words, and under a normal circumstance, I would have already felt valued and appreciated, but where I was emotionally, even so many words really kind of had a hard time getting through, if you know what I mean. And with the sticker and the design that you had commissioned, and then the resulting sales from that sticker, people voting with their money to say, yes, please do something. That even the most pessimistic of, depressed brains cannot deny that. So in a lot of ways, it all started with you. So yeah, thank you. And I have not been the only person on the receiving end of kind of that, I don't know what you called it, emboldened, impassioned. I don't know. You mentioned that you're a very passionate individual.
I call it, so in the magical land of Warhammer, and in a group of creepy space aliens called the Tyranids, there's this thing called a Screamer Killer. Here's someone else's. This isn't one of my models. This is an awesome model my buddy made, which will not focus. So there's this thing called a Screamer Killer, and it's a big chonky thing with claws, and it's supposed to be like a living battering ram. It's kind of like, if you ever played StarCraft, it's like a Ultralisk. And when I get really impassioned about something and when I get really angry about something, I call it like I'm letting out my inner Screamer Killer.
Yeah.
Like, just like go at it with like that energy, and it's really energy that needs to be channeled to something positive. Otherwise, it can be pretty destructive. So,
well, I think you do a good job doing that, and I think that hopefully you've had enough examples of you channeling your energy toward, like you said, killing him with kindness, etc. Hopefully you've seen enough examples of that to know that that can be even more effective as all of the other people who just go online and, spread, even if it is, hatred and vitriol for a noble purpose, it is still, just words. But you take action when it comes to advocacy, human rights, and things like that. Does that come have you been like that all your life? Is one of your parents also like that? Like, where do you think that comes from?
I was going to say that my parents weren't like that, but the reality is that my dad was. and I
Mm.
didn't really think about it until right now. Not super active, but like there's a club that you might not be aware of. It's called the Old Dads Club. It doesn't really exist, but anyone who's a member of it knows what it is. And it's anyone who has had an older father and has gone through like the challenges of being a kid and realizing your dad is older than everyone else's, and like
Ah.
going through the whole like my dad's gonna die before other people's dads. It's not
Mm.
rational, but like my dad died at the ripe old age of 93, so he made it a long way. But just to say that he was from a previous generation. Like he was born in 1932. He was 50 when I was born. Like he was an old dude, but he was
Yeah.
so open-minded and he was so accepting of anything. Like he in Canada, like I guess in the United States as well, but I feel like maybe a little more so in Canada, we have a very complicated relationship with Canada's indigenous people. And it's still something that we struggle with to this day and we still try to do better. But my dad, in his job as an engineer, he worked a lot in northern communities in Canada. So he would tell me stories about like the conditions in indigenous communities and like how they were struggling to have clean water. And like he actually worked to try and help install water systems and stuff like that. So he made me aware of those kinds of issues before it was common to talk about them in Canada, like in the mass media or something. And then also like he was just very open-minded. It's stupid, but he was open-minded about like food. Like he was an old white man and he would like make us like Indian curry and like Thai curry, and he would like take us out for like sushi and all this stuff before that stuff was that big. And
Yeah.
he would always tell us, he's like, you don't have to like something, you just have to try it. Like I will serve you this food, you don't have to like it, and you just have to try it. So like I think that he might have helped build a certain mindset in me that like tries to be open-minded when it comes to different kinds of people. And then that was further upgraded by my wife, um because she is a person of color. And when we first started dating, I was not as aware about that kind of stuff as I should have been. Like this was before the murder of George Floyd, when maybe some people got more aware of it, or it was more in the like public zeitgeist or whatever. But it was very much a situation where in Canada, where I live, there's this whole narrative about Canada being a happy, shiny, multicultural utopia, but we don't get it right. We have a lot of work to do. And when her and I started dating, I had to learn a lot of things really quickly about my own assumptions and like my own perspectives. And it was challenging. And it was that whole thing that I'm sure other white cis men have dealt with, where your first reaction is, I'm not racist. Like, are you saying I'm racist? Oh my God, I'm not racist. It's like, no, like, you're not saying you're racist, but saying you also could do better. So it was challenging, but I was very lucky. I'll shout out a Canadian podcast called Color Code, which was done by two women of color in Canada, and it was a really great examination of like racism in Canada and like the stuff we get right, but also the stuff we get wrong. So that was really educational for me. But I think through that, through like the open-mindedness that my father fostered in me, I just kind of reached this place where I wanted to be open and inclusive of people, and it doesn't take anything and it's not hard. Like um I don't even feel like I do that much strong advocacy work, but I do kind of like passive advocacy work for like trans kids, trans rights, that kind of stuff, because I
You've done donations and things before. You've done drives.
did I?
Like didn't you do I've seen you do fundraisers and things like that.
I don't know if I have, man.
I'm sure you have. You've talked you did no, seriously. There was one last year, maybe the year before you I promise you did. I
I don't
swear.
know that I
You
did. I might have participated in one, but I
yeah,
don't
you
know if I
definitely you definitely uh yeah, you definitely participated in one. I've because man, I've seen this on your Instagram where, you know, especially with the trans kids, you I don't know if it was either a drive or just something you were you know, were a part of, but you've definitely advocated effectively, especially on social media. But I
well,
would say that you definitely do more than your average person. You're not just talking about it.
I try. Hopefully. Oh, I was at a march. I remember. I might have posted about that. But the reality is that in the like Warhammer miniature gaming community, there's a lot of artists, and a lot of artists are trans, and like I've been very fortunate to like get pretty good friends with an artist. Shout out Nikki Clie. Clie, I always screw that up. And her art is the one that's featured on my Instagram profile. It's like a knight, and it just says like protect trans kids, and it's just like, so I asked her if I could print that on a shirt, and so I printed it on a pink shirt, and I'll just wear it to miniature events, and it's just like an easy way to just be like in that space as a white cis man already wearing pink, which challenges some people, and then just like have this thing that just says like people wear band shirts or whatever, people wear dorky shirts, just wear like 100%. A protect trans kids shirt, and I've never had anyone say anything about it, but it's just there, and like it's like some people have said that's a cool shirt, but I've never had anyone like challenge me. And it just to say that it's a pretty it's very easy to be like a very low level advocate and just like set that as like the baseline for your presence and how you're showing up. And I feel like I could do more, but it's a good thing, because I think a lot of people from trans community, queer community, they might assume that white cis men are not on their side, or they're not allies or whatever, or they're not aware. There's a lot of weird gatekeepers in like dork gaming communities, and it's just, I think, a good way to like put that first, show them that first sign that it's like, no, it's cool, I'm cool with it, it's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's showing up is a big step, because I also think that it's probably understandable that a lot of minorities think that, or can draw the conclusion that white cis men may not be on their side, because there are a lot of very loud white cis men that are very much not on their side, and the ones that are often not as loud. So I think that the first step is to at least, fly the flag, say like, yes, no, I'm here, you're okay with me, step one at the very least, that is something that we can do. And then, we can go from there. But the fact is, there are a lot of very loud, very highly publicized, hateful people out there. And the kindness doesn't get the platform and the spotlight that the loud hatred seems to get, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's something that comes up in specifically like my dorky community, the Warhammer community, that there are loud white cis men who claim that this community is not for queer, trans, anything like that, not for women even, and they try to do these stupid things where they claim that it has never been. And they do this, the most ridiculous thing is, Drew, you've probably heard of Space Marines, right? You know what a Space Marine is?
Yeah, of course. I've seen, 100%.
So Space Marines, there was this little line written in like the lore of Warhammer that Space Marines can only be made from men. Only men can become Space Marines. And these crazy guys on the internet will go and read this book and this line in this dusty book and be like, only Space Marines can be men. Like, and they kind of like glob onto it. But the reality is that Warhammer 40K was created by a bunch of punks in England. Like, they were totally counterculture. They were totally like taking the piss out of everything. Like, one of the most famous, like orcs from Lord of the Rings. In Warhammer 40K, they have orcs. They have green skin. They're kind of like the orcs from Warcraft, World of Warcraft, but they're in the future and they've got armor and shit. The most famous orc of all time is named Ghazghkull Mag Ook Thraka, and it was a play on Margaret Thatcher. Like, they were just like taking the piss out of Margaret Thatcher because she was in power at the time. And like, this is where Warhammer comes from. Like, Warhammer is like a joke. It is a punk joke, like punk rock, whatever gaming thing. There was once a guy in this whose name was like Clouseau Obi-Wan Kenobi. He was like a famous character. They were just like taking the piss. And all that is to say that Warhammer is not a serious place, and these guys take Warhammer way too seriously. And there's a lot more people in the community who have been in it since they were kids in like the 90s, and they remember what it came from, and they don't care. They would love for anyone to be into Warhammer. So the loudest, angriest people are not the majority by any means.
No, and there's so many nerd communities that are like that as well, and it just drives me nuts. And I've spoken about this at length, about how it's so irritating that folks that are in certain fandoms tend to spend more time complaining and hating than they do complimenting and enjoying, at least, online and publicly. If you just, you go into Google image search or Google search and, search, why are the Star Wars sequels? The first results that are going to come up are like, so bad, sucks so much, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, just with me and you, we grew up with 3 Star Wars movies, right? And that was that. If you like Star Wars, you just watch those 3 movies over and over and over and over again. And now the content that they have, like, we had 3 Star Wars movies. We had no Marvel movies unless, eventually X-Men showed up. But prior to that, you had Punisher from Dolph Lundgren, a weird Captain America, and a funky Flash.
There was a Hulk TV show in like
there was a Hulk TV show.
90s. It was terrible.
Yeah. And now, like, we have it so good as nerds. Like, we don't even get made fun of anymore for being nerds. Like, this is great. But and yet there's so many that are still so unhappy, and I just don't get that. Like, come on.
Like, we're living in a golden age.
We really are.
We're living in a golden age
of dork
culture. The fact that major studios are fighting with each other to take dork IP and put it on like TV, movies, whatever, and we can't stop ourselves from finding like poking any holes we can in it and not just appreciating the fact that we have this golden age. But when you talk about people being made fun of, I'm going to do a Simpsons reference. I started university in 2001, and in 2001 I found another guy on my floor who played Warhammer. We were on a co-ed floor, so there was girls on one side and guys on the other side, and we were so worried about being looking like dorks in front of the girls that when we wanted to go and buy Warhammer at the Warhammer store, the girls would be like, "Where are you guys going?" And we're like, "We are going to the pornography store. We are going to buy pornography." And then we leave, and eventually the girls realize, they're like, "Oh, you're going to do that dorky Warhammer thing, aren't you?" I'm like, no. We are going to buy pornography.
Definitely not that. Oh,
because it would be better to joke about going to buy pornography than to tell a bunch of cute girls that you were going to buy miniatures.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, I love that so much. I was just, as soon as you said, like, this is not a serious thing, that made me think about Star Wars. Like, the amount of criticism that, like, those movies, I love them to death. Always will, always have, old, new, whatever. I just love them to different degrees. They've never been serious movies. They've never been Oscar contenders. They've never been, they're good movies. They're not fine films. And yet people criticize them and, treat them like they should be these just flawless pieces of storytelling. And they never have been. I don't think they ever need to be.
I don't even know that it's that they want it to be flawless pieces of storytelling. I think every person wants it to be their exact internal dialogue, internal vision of what Star Wars is, and it can never be.
But like, they love talking about the plot holes. I'm like, y'all chill out. It's like, it's goofy science fantasy.
Okay,
it's gonna have, like, stop.
Are there not plot holes in Empire Strikes Back? Like, that's the touchstone of everyone. They're like, Empire Strikes Back is flawless. Nothing could be better than Empire Strikes Back. Like,
all of them have bad dialogue. All of them have plot holes. Like, come on. It's Star Wars. People, chill out.
People never like. My favorite Star Wars movies, unabashedly, unironically, are Return of the Jedi, because that's the first one I ever watched.
Same.
The Last Jedi, because I think that movie actually tried to do something different, and it was super interesting until they got afraid of it. And Rogue One, because I just thought it was so like different, and I liked like not having the Force and just like doing old school Rogue stuff. And of course, like now I love Andor, because but
all of those are phenomenal. I love them all.
But those are like unpopular beliefs in the war. Like, if you're in the Star Wars community, like, you have to love Empire and hate everything else. And I'm just not into it.
No,
I'm happy that we have them.
I love them all. I would say the same thing about the Marvel movies too. Like, I love them all. Some more than others, but like, they're all great, especially compared to, like, not having any, or this Dolph Lundgren's Punisher. I keep bringing that up, but I'm like, come on, that's what we had. And at the time, I thought it was pretty awesome. Actually, it was like, we rented that from Blockbuster more than once. Yeah. I wanted to ask.
Blade was a pretty badass Marvel movie.
It did, but then again, like, it was. He didn't really have the superhero vibe.
No, you're right.
Which is probably why it was successful, because it was kind of a little bit darker. Yeah. So I wanted, one of the earliest things that you and I connected on were RPGs. and specifically Chrono Trigger. We're both big fans. You maybe more than me. And I just wanted to ask you if you have had any new RPG experience you wanted to share, and B, have you tried Expedition 33 yet?
I have been told to try Expedition 33, Drew. I'm afraid of being hurt again. Because like I've seen like people have taken the little clips of like this thing that looks like a Lavos spawn, and like maybe there's the like lean bell in Expedition 33. Like yeah, my level of obsession with JRPGs for a time was my professional career is as a copywriter. I work in social media now. I dreamed of being a like a novelist, and the very first thing that I ever wrote creatively was a fan fiction to continue Secret of Mana, because I played Secret of Mana on the SNES and then it ended and I was like, what, that's it? That can't be it. So I got like a spiral bound notebook, and I think one of the reasons that I have such clean handwriting these days is because I spent like pages and pages and pages and pages, like tens and tens of pages, writing out the Secret of Mana fan fiction, just because like I love the story so much.
Do you still have it?
Yes, I have it somewhere.
Nice. I just want to make sure you still have it.
Yeah, I think it's in a box in my bedroom. But
Good.
and like I've also like dabbled in the ideas of like what a sequel to Chrono Trigger that links it to Chrono Cross would look like.
Oh yeah.
Just because like I love these stories so much. But yeah, Chrono Trigger is, sorry, when you mention Chrono Trigger, it just hurts me that this year is last year, 2025 was the 40th anniversary, no, 30th anniversary of Chrono Trigger, I think.
I think it came out in like 95.
Yeah, so
like
it was the 30th anniversary, and Square Enix was like, we're gonna do some stuff. Nothing. They did nothing. They did absolutely nothing. And like I don't like, I want them, I'm that guy who wants them to remake Chrono Trigger and doesn't want them to remake Chrono Trigger, because they destroyed Secret of Mana when they tried to remake it.
I would
they
say
did okay
that
with Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, I liked I liked Final Fantasy VII and Remake and Rebirth. I haven't been drawn to the Super Mario RPG remake. In my opinion, I'm like, I'm just gonna play the original. It's fine.
I've never played the original, and I started playing the remake.
It's good
because I wanted to experience it. It seemed okay.
But oh yeah, absolutely. Well, it was my first RPG, so I always have a soft spot for it. But I would say that with Expedition 33, it is, I think, a love letter by the developers to the greatest elements of JRPGs from the 90s.
Right.
I think that they were huge fans. I think that they took elements from all of the best games and set out to prove that a turn-based RPG can still be wildly successful in 2025. And they did that. I at this point, I know it's already super hyped up for you, but I
not
think
that much. It's you and another person whose opinions I trust.
Yeah, I would say so. I had it. A Ben friend. Shout out to Emily. She told me about it at the San Francisco Pen Show last year, and I played it before it won all the Game of the Year awards and stuff like that, and it captured me. It was original and fresh, and it really did prove that a turn-based system could very well be successful. And I would bet you that Square is looking at the success of this game right now and being like, oh, so turn-based is not dead? Okay, maybe we can...
everything you see on the internet, but I thought I saw someone mention, probably in the Chrono Trigger Reddit, that there was a meeting between Square Enix and the studio that did Expedition 33. Allegedly, I have no idea, but of course, like the Chrono Trigger fans were like, oh my god, this means that they're going to do the remake. And like there's like Square is going to release some like Chrono Trigger like doll things, and they were someone leaked them on the internet, and people were like, this means they're redoing Chrono Trigger and they're going to do it in the original style. But I've been hurt before. I don't want to be hurt again. Like I would love for there to be a new Chrono Trigger thing to like experience. Also because I'm a very lucky man. Like my spouse, one of the reasons we got together is that she told me that she thought chest bursters were cool from like the Alien movies, and she likes like she likes like mobile games or whatever, and she was on my phone one day, and she's like, "What's this game?" I'm like, "Oh, that's Chrono Trigger. I don't know if you're gonna like it." And she's like, "Oh, well, I'm just gonna try it." So she like took my phone and she started playing it. And I like went away and I was like doing some stuff. Maybe I was working on some models. I'm like, "Where the hell's my phone?" And I went and found her, and she'd been playing it for like hours. And she's like, "I love this game." So she was like obsessed. She got it on her own phone. I think she's beaten it twice. Like, she's into it. So I would love to have a new Chrono Trigger experience that her and I could experience together, like for the first time, because she didn't grow up with video games. Like they weren't really around. And she's since like played Chrono Trigger, which she's really into. Dead Space. She loves Dead Space because she's into like horror. Man, she destroyed. We got the my buddy lent us his PS4 or 5 or whatever, and we got the remake. And I'd never played Dead Space before, but yeah, she devoured it. She loved it. So I would love to have like Chrono Trigger to play with her, or some new version or remake or something.
Yeah.
But oh wait, you asked me about like recent RPG experiences. I don't know if I mentioned this the last time we talked, but there is a game, and I think it was developed by a Chinese developer. I think they're from Shanghai or something, called Eastward. Have you heard of Eastward?
I have not.
It is amazing. It is like, it has the like weird kind of kooky humor of like 90s JRPGs, but then with like this like dark undertone that you're like, whoa, like there's some serious stuff happening here. And like,
that sounds like a JRPG.
It's a weird game. I think it gave me vibes of Earthbound, because I think like the main character, it's like a girl and an older man. And the girl is like, there's some mysterious, like, where did she come from? A little bit of like Terra Esper vibes from like FF3/6. She's got some weird psychic powers. And the dude is just this like gruff dude with a beard. And I think his weapon is a frying pan or something. I think later he gets other weapons, but like, and it's not turn-based. It's like a Secret of Mana, kind of like you move around the screen and you whack people with your weapon. But it's got so much character to it. Like a little bit of like Undertale vibes. And anyway, there was this one point in it where you go to like a town, like you go to like the town in like Final Fantasy, Chrono Trigger, Secret of Mana. Yeah. And the first time I went to like a town in it, I just was like, had this like warmth radiating from my heart. Like, they get it. Like, this is it.
Yes.
Like, I get it. And then you leave the town and the town is destroyed. And you're like, but all those people, it's like, I'm not doing a good job, but it's beautiful. Like, it's beautiful graphics, but it's top down. It's like walking around like that 3/4 view, whatever.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's not like, don't picture Stardew Valley. It's not like done in 16-bit style. It's like a little more upgraded than that.
Okay.
And it's got like the weird music from like Earthbound, and it's got like the grittiness, and there's like Eastward. I highly recommend Eastward.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'll check it out.
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
It's delightful.
Yeah. Yeah. And definitely, I would also say, as a Chrono Trigger fan, Chrono Trigger is famous for being definitively the greatest video game soundtrack of all time.
Yeah.
Like, done. Like, signed, sealed, delivered. Expedition 33 also phenomenal soundtrack.
Good.
Like, absolutely fantastic. It's very and honestly, as someone who is, at least moderately immersed in some French language, as you are up in the Great White North.
I'm fluent.
Are you really?
Allegedly, I'm fluent. Yeah.
Allegedly.
The government of my province believes that I'm fluent, but I haven't really been practicing that much. But like, I can survive in France speaking to someone in French.
The developers of Expedition 33 are French, and there's a lot of French influence in the game, both in terms of language and thematics. So it's fun, especially you'll be able to pronounce all of the enemies' names much better than I pronounce them in my head. So there is that.
Wait, is it on Steam, or did you play it on like PS5?
I played on PS5, but I believe it's available on all the platforms.
Okay, because I do not have PS5, but if it's on Steam, I can hook it up.
It should be, yeah. I wanted to talk more about your, you mentioned this, and I'd love to get into it a little bit more. Obviously, your wife sounds amazing, having, proposed to you when you were at your most worthless, and being a fan of some fun sci-fi stuff. You've got somewhat of an epic nerd cave there behind you. What's it like having, being married and also having some pretty prominent hobbies that, she needs to, you need to find balance between, I suppose, doing your hobbies and having them not completely envelop the entire household. Like, how does she take to that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. One thing that has become apparent to me over the years is that different people's, like when you're doing something, a dorky hobby like miniature wargaming, miniature art, um, different people's spouses can take it differently. Like people can be like, okay, that's cool. Oh yeah, you go and hang out with your buds and talk about Warhammer. That's fine. But I've heard many stories over the decades that I've been in this hobby about different reactions from significant others to it. And the thing that I've realized is that if you're ever in a situation where your significant other is maybe having questions about your the way you spend your time in your hobby or whatever like that, it's often because they're worried that you're going to spend more time on that pursuit than you're going to spend quality time with them. And this
Fair.
is something that me and my wife came to at one point, where I was like working really hard on a given project, and I had like told her, like, I have this big project coming up, I need to get it done by such and such a date, I'm gonna have to spend a lot of time in the evenings. And all she wanted to know was that I was still gonna make time for our relationship, that I wasn't gonna like totally ignore her in favor of this thing, that I was going to go and dedicate time to this. But then at the end of the day, when I'm done doing that, I'd still have enough energy and time to come and spend time with her. So I really think that's what it always boils down to. If, I mean, there could be like the financial aspect that your spouse could simply want to know that you're not spending your life savings buying plastic miniatures, which becomes more and more possible as the prices go up, or that you're not spending your life savings buying fountain pens, because it would be nice to be able to afford things for the household. But a lot of it, I think, comes down to like making sure that there's time for the relationship in addition to the time you spend on your hobby, whether it's video gaming, whether it's like RPGs, Dungeons and Dragons, role playing, whatever. Yeah, and just making sure that even if you're going to be working super hard on this project for like 3 nights, that there's this night where you're not going to work on it at all and you're going to spend time together, like meaningful time together. But I have been fortunate that my spouse is very curious about the stuff that I'm into. Like she likes horror, she likes science fiction. Like the hobby I'm into is basically horror and science fiction. She'll like randomly pick up like a source book and like read the lore and be like, well, this lore sounds really cool, but like those miniatures aren't a very good depiction of this lore. And I'm like, whoa, you're like critiquing this. Okay.
Nice. I love that.
So she's interested and she's curious. Like we play this horrible Warhammer based mobile game that we probably shouldn't waste so much time on, but she plays it too.
Oh,
and
that's
she's
cool.
like, hey, like these, like I really like this faction, or like this Sister of Battle's pretty cool, but like her hairstyle should be way more like edgy. Why isn't it like shaved up the sides or something? And like, yeah, so she interfaces with it. And she's also she really likes making terrain, like the scenery that you use when you're playing the game. And like anytime that I'm making like that kind of stuff, she's really keen. She's like, oh, can I help? Can I like help out with it? Can I do some of it? To the point where I was crushing on this actually when I was unemployed in 2017, and I found this like creative project to just pour myself into, to like really feel that like I had value and all that. I was crunching to get to this deadline, and I was making the terrain, and she's like, she got mad at me. She's like, why didn't you ask me to help you? I'm like, I didn't think you wanted to. She's like, of course I wanted to help you. Like, you're working on scenery. Scenery's awesome. I would love to work on some scenery. So she like helped me like stamp out these like tiles and like this underground cave sort of thing, because she was just like really into it. So I'm fortunate in that respect that she's interested and she like wants to engage with it, which I would never expect. Like the way that I was raised is like, my spouse is going to think this is dorky. They're not going to have anything to do with it. And like, yeah, but I'm fortunate she's not like that. But it's also, it helps, I think, our relationship that because I have this space in our garage where I can store all this stuff and I can do all my work, not a lot of it clutters up the house. That isn't to say that I can't bring it in and like work on it and stuff like that. But I have a separate space that I can do with as I like, and it's
Yeah.
not taking away space from our house. So I
Yeah.
think that being able to have that division, even if it's just like a room in your house or it's like a section of your basement or something that is like cordoned off as like that is Nick Drew's hobby space, then you can do what you want in it, and you can leave stuff out that you're working on and come back to it without worrying like, oh, this is the dining room table, I have to like clean it up. But that is also the like having the privilege of having that space. So even if you don't have that space, you can get stuff like those old school desks where they had like this roll up, like it's like a roll up wooden thing that would like cover over the desk. You could get
I know
something
exactly
like
what
that
you're talking
and just
about.
leave your stuff on that in a smaller space. But
Cover it up.
I think like having your own space where you can pursue your hobby, that is like contained within like the shared space of your family unit is helpful. How do you find like navigating your various pursuits and like all of your tools and stuff that you use?
Well,
Balancing
Shannon
it.
was really supportive in allowing me to kind of, because I had my room. The den is my nerd room. You know, it's where the larger TV of the house is. I have my, you know, artwork, paintings, my movie posters, and all my retro gaming stuff up on the walls. And that's pretty much my room. And you know, I can decorate it however I like. But when you know, when I got let go and, you know, started doing, you know, my own channel, which has not been kept up super well, to be honest, but, you know, still doing it. She was generous enough to let me kind of move that into the office here, which, you know, previously was just for the computer. And now it's a little bit more cluttered. It's not terrible, but she was really understanding in, you know, supporting that. So I try not to keep it too messy in here during Halloween. Like we talked about, it gets kind of taken over by whatever I'm making for Archer.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's like the comic books behind me there. Like she loves those. She's not into the things that I'm in at all and doesn't understand them, doesn't really care to understand them, but she loves that I love them. Like she sincerely, when I am able to, you know, display something that is passionate to me, she is sincerely happy. It brings her joy to see me happy. It's a very cool thing. So even though she may not be into it, I've offered to move the comics or take them down multiple times. She's like, no. I want you to have those up. Like you love those. They make you happy, and they're a representative of the things that you're passionate about. If I wear dorky shirts, she's like, yes, wear more of that. You should have more Transformer shirts. You should have more of these shirts because you love them so much. Why don't you have this shirt? You love this thing. So she's a big proponent of me just displaying the things I'm passionate about. She loves my jacket. You know, she just loves the fact that I fly my flag about the things that I love and the joys that I have. And so in that regard, as long as I kind of keep it neat and, you know, tasteful, she's a huge fan of, you know, any sort of, you know, stuff I want to put on the walls or, you know, in the house. So that's actually been pretty cool.
Hold on. I'm having a weird issue where my PC says it's not getting power, but it's plugged in.
Oh.
So I just have to check all my plugs. Just one second.
Okay.
Sorry, Drew.
That's okay. All's good. All right.
Sorry. So you were talking about how Shannon encourages you to fly your freak flag.
Yeah.
And to wear like your dorky shirts and stuff like that.
Yep. She's actually bought me most of them.
Last time we spoke, I want to say that you told me that Shannon bought you like a bowling shirt or something that had like a design on it that wasn't something that you would normally wear, but you decided to wear it because she bought it for you. And were you saying how that kind of like opened your mind to?
Yeah. I don't remember. I don't remember what shirt it was, but it was some shirt with a funky print, and it definitely wasn't one I would have chosen for myself. But I'm like, I don't know, I got nobody to impress but her. So yeah, if she thinks I would look good in it, then great, go for it. But it really kind of started with, I saw it was on The Office, and there was an episode where Toby, the HR guy, was wearing a really cheesy looking holiday sweater. And I just fell in love with it. I said, I need to have that sweater. It was a green, like a forest green sweater with, you know, a moose and a snowflake or a tree. And I found it. It was currently available at JCPenney. So I went and snagged it, and I just loved it. And I was like, I need more of these. So I started buying. But I this was before ugly Christmas sweaters really became a thing. And then, so I wore those through the holiday season, really liked it. And then summer came. I'm like, well, I don't have any more sweaters. Let me go with the Hawaiian shirt route. Let's do that. That'll be my thing. And then uh, it just kind of that kind of started the whole thing. But it definitely, before I did any of that, it was because she had bought me a kind of crazy shirt that it just made me feel more comfortable in. And but yeah, she's very, very encouraging in that regard. Before we scooch, I did want to allow you an opportunity, because last time we talked, it was one of the few things I do remember about our last conversation. When we ended, you were like, "Darn, I didn't get to ask you about Warhammer," and I wanted to know like why you've never played, or if you ever have played. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to ask that if you
All
still
right.
wanted to.
Yeah. So Drew, speaking of like Warhammer and stuff like that, like, do you have any experience with Warhammer? I feel like everyone has got like this little bit of like, oh, my friends did it and I wish I could have gotten into it, but I didn't have the allowance to afford that junk. And like, do you have any past experience with it?
Yes. So I'm one of those guys. My friends through high school were very into it. In fact, that same friend group from high school still, to my knowledge, hangs out and plays that, and I do not, like, despite whether or not I would want to say like, hey, my old friends from high school, let me learn this thing, even though it's never really been my thing. I still just I observed it once, observed too much math in it.
Yes.
And I was immediately like, nope, 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 nope. There's too much weighting, there's too many numbers and measurements, and not a thing. It was just with like board games are the same way with me. I can't play board games. I can't play card games. My brain just will not focus long enough for me to
Oh, okay.
retain all that. I like probably the same reason I'm more of a console gamer than a PC gamer. I just some things just overstimulate me. But I did, however, same reason I probably couldn't do Dungeons and Dragons. It's just too much. But I did go through a pretty heavy duty obsession with a game called HeroClix.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. Okay.
I was very much into HeroClix for a couple of years. I had a large collection of those, and that's like the dumb version of some of these
It's
tabletop
my
games.
first Warhammer. It's
Yes,
Warhammer Junior.
exactly. So I was super into that because every character
Cool.
has all the numbers on their base. If they
Yeah.
take a hit, you click them, their stats change. There's nothing to keep track of. The map is just a piece of paper you unfold with a grid on it. There's no measuring. There's just like, all right, I have a range of 3 on my little click here. Let me count the squares. 1, 2, 3. No, I can't hit you. Boom, move on.
Yeah.
So that I could do. And of course, it was all Marvel and DC. So I was like, yeah. And I was like, all right, let me do a Batman team. So I've got Batman, Nightwing, and I've got my Bat people, which was a dumb idea because they all have the same relative abilities and stats. So
Yeah.
I got my ass handed to me, but it was still really fascinating. I'd play with me and my brothers, and yeah,
Cool.
we did that for years. But uh, that was the extent of my tabletop gaming history.
Hmm.
It sounds
If
cool
you
though.
if you ever wanted to try it with your buddies, there's a version of, if you like this, like the futuristic science fiction kind of vibe, there's a version of Warhammer 40K that's called Kill Team. And it's the only version of Warhammer 40K I play anymore, because normal Warhammer, you have to have like 30, 50, 100 models. And like each model isn't like an individual who does stuff. You have to like move them around in blocks, and like they stay in units and stuff like that. But in Kill Team, you've only got 10 guys. Or like you can have like 6 guys. And every one of your guys is like a little superhero on his own. And it's not like in normal Warhammer, you have to like move everybody. In this, you like move one guy and he does a thing. And then like
That
you move a
sounds
different guy over
more,
here and he does a thing.
yeah.
You don't have to measure to shoot anybody, because it's assumed that because you're playing in such a small space, all the guns always hit. Like
Yay.
some of them, like if you have like a flamethrower, like that one can't go all the way across the board. But like if you have any other gun, it always hits.
Okay.
There's a little bit of like you roll to see if stuff like works, but
Yeah.
I'd say it's a much more fun version of Warhammer, because it's a little more manageable, and it's also like God, I haven't played it in a while, but there's not as much waiting. Like you can
Mm.
like, is it like I go you go? I can't remember the exact setup. I don't think you have to move all your guys and then the other guy moves all their guys. There's some interplay where like they can do something and then your guy can react. But
Ooh,
it's a little more manageable. But I don't know
that's
if your
cool.
buddies from high school play that, or if they're only into like the full-time giant Warhammer, which is a lot more draining.
I don't know. At this point, they they haven't even, they know that I'm just like, no, Drew's not going to be interested in this, so I don't think they bother. But I will say that, going back to Expedition 33, that's another really cool thing that they did in the turn-based aspect of their game. There is always an opportunity to counter or parry an attack. So even when your opponent has their turn, you still need to pay very close attention. So
gotcha.
it's there's no waiting for sure.
Okay.
But awesome. Okay, well. Yeah, so there you have it. I've never played a game, but it doesn't really hit my bullseye. I think I would lose patience pretty quickly. But I love the aspect of the models. I think that I think I would be more in your camp. I would probably find fascination in painting or building way more so than the actual gameplay itself, because I've always been that way with like The Sims. I would love creating a character, building a house, and then I would just never play the game. But loved the creation aspect. Yeah.
Well, it's like, and the thing with this, my particular hobby, is that you can pursue any part of it that you're interested in. Like there are people who are only interested in the lore of Warhammer 40K, and they just like go on YouTube and they just watch videos where like basically someone reads them the lore from the lore book. So they just read like novels about it. There's people who only like, I have a large community of people who I interact with, and we always joke about how we don't play. Like we make these models and they're like, maybe I'll play a game someday. Like that's never going to happen, because we're just so interested in coming up with ideas for like how to change them and like pursuing those ideas and like realizing those concepts. And we might not even paint them. Like I said, I haven't painted a model in a year. But there's so many different aspects to it. Even like if you don't want to get your hands dirty with any model stuff, there's more and more video games based on different Warhammer properties coming out now. Like there was a huge, I don't know if you call it a third-person shooter or whatever, Space Marine 2 came out on PS5 and stuff. It was like pretty popular. But there's like Total War. Like there's this huge part of the community that has never touched a model, but they love Total War, like the fantasy, like kind of like elves and dwarves and stuff version of Warhammer, because there's that too. So yeah, there's a lot of ways to interact with it if it's something that you've been curious about, and you're not you specifically, but if someone like watches this and they're like, Warhammer, I am curious about that. And apparently Henry Cavill is going to be making some big time series on Amazon, which is going to be coming out soon. But
I will watch that. I think that there's something to be said about seeing an actor, a director, a writer create something that they are personally very into. And my interest in Warhammer is curiosity, but I'm very much into him saying, I am a super nerd about this. I am excited about this, because I think it translates. There's a bit of an X factor where you might not be able to put your finger on why this has this kind of, I don't know, weird, indefinable coolness to it. But I think it stems from the fact that the final product is a result of whomever is on screen delivering something that they wholeheartedly are passionate about. And I love that. And I want to support that. I recently found out that Sean Bean, the actor, has a podcast about birding. And
really?
Yes. And I'm like, I texted Shannon. I was like, this is amazing. I'm like, I want so many celebrities have podcasts, but they're all about just interviewing other celebrities, right? And I'm like, that's cool, but I want more celebrities to do podcasts about just cool shit that they like birding, like birding with Boromir. I don't know. I love it. Like that's what it should be called. I don't know, but that as soon as I saw that, I was just, this needs to happen more. I love this. I love that this guy is talking about birds. Like, it's amazing. I want to see more of it.
But it makes me think about Seth Rogen. I recently found out that Seth Rogen is really into pottery. And like he has like a whole company where he makes like ashtrays for like weed stuff, because he's like into weed and he's into pottery. And
that's amazing.
Like, there's this Canadian TV show called The Great Canadian Throwdown or something like that. And he's like the head judge of this pottery show on Canadian Broadcasting Corporation.
That's fantastic. I really do wish that more celebrities would use their influence to encourage and inspire folks just with hobbies and getting into little things like pottery or Warhammer or birds. Like, that's a really cool use of influence and notoriety as far as I'm concerned. Like, get folks jazzed about hobbies, because Lord knows we need some positivity in this world right now. And a lot of the positivity in the world comes from folks embracing their passions and finding joy in new things. During COVID, I think a lot of people adopted some new hobbies, but since then, sometimes it can just be overwhelming, or you don't even have the motivation to seek out new things that bring you joy or happiness. But the right
But you need 'em.
person,
Like this is
Yeah.
when you need them most.
absolutely, and the right person with the right platform and the right influence can generate that curiosity, those hobbies and those passions. And you might, something, if you didn't care about birds, but you're a big fan of Sean Bean, you might be like, huh, he makes it sound really rad. Or Henry Cavill. Like, no, there's going to be a lot of folks that have never heard of Warhammer that are going to hear about Warhammer because of Henry Cavill.
Listen, I knew Warhammer had jumped the shark when my mom texted me to tell me about Henry Cavill doing a Warhammer TV show. I'm
That's
like, yes,
great.
Mom. We've been talking about this for like years now that this is going to happen. But I had a weird question for you, Drew, that came up and I kind of forgot to ask it when we were talking about like bros spoiling dork spaces. Like we're talking about bros spoiling Star Wars, bros trying to spoil Warhammer. Are there pen bros who spoil the pen community? Or can we not talk about that?
No. I think we can. I think that the pen community is remarkably positive. You do have your pockets of folks that just don't have the same kind of pure motivations, I think. But by and large, the pen community protects itself in a lot of ways. They want it to be inclusive. They want it to be positive. They want it to be open. And there are a few folks, I mean, that's just like human nature. You're going to have some folks that are just instantly going to put down certain brands and things like that. But overall, if you step out and look at the entire community, then it's extraordinarily positive and welcoming. And I'll say that just from being somebody who has been on YouTube for the greater part of a decade at this point, and you look at YouTube comments and in any other space, and they're just flooded with complaints and negativity. And you look at most pen videos and they're just not like that. Influencers, bloggers, whatever, there's not, it's a special place where the positive outweighs the negative by far. And
yeah,
I'm really, really thankful that it is the way it is. So I will say that no, while there might be a few, negative Nancy's here and there, it's not being spoiled. And I don't think that there's a noticeable amount of gatekeepers or anything like that. It's a really, really special place, and I'm really thankful that I'm still there.
Only Mont Blanc? Is it the Mont Blanc bros that are the gatekeepers?
I don't think so. I think that the more passionate members of the community, they all recognize that like it's a solid brand, it's a solid pen. I think the consensus is, but also this, and this, and this. So if you're going to choose this, you could also choose this, or why not choose this? But no one says they're garbage pens. I don't think. I mean, not no one. Some people do, but I think that the Mont Blanc fans are generally not the diehard community members. I think that and where I work, it's very obvious that there's one type of person, which is more the Washington DC type Mont Blanc user, and then there's another type of user that is like gonna want to walk in and buy something really accessible, or buy a brand that isn't as nearly as famous as Mont Blanc, but because they've done their research and they've watched videos, they are going to navigate towards this. So there's something for everybody.
Nice.
Yeah. But I think we can probably wrap it up here, unless there's anything else you wanted to soapbox as you get a chance.
I'm trying to think. No, just like, I guess, thanks for continuing to give us more Drew. Like that was the whole thing with the sticker, that I wanted more Drew in my life, and I thought that you could do really great things on YouTube. And like, don't worry about how much time you put in your channel or whatever. Like like we said, these things go in waves.
Yeah,
and there will always be time for that. I have not put out like an edited video on my channel in probably a year. It's just been live streams because they're easy to do.
Yeah,
and easy to get out, and because I enjoy filming a lot more than editing, and I enjoy making things a lot more than I enjoy editing. So
yeah, that's me in the video game videos. Those are easy to do. I can do like 4 of those at a time. They don't require a lot of editing because it's kind of a stream that's not live, but it's all one shot. So I do have way more of those on my channel, but I do want to do more guests. So I appreciate you taking the time and dealing with my complete forgetfulness earlier today. Like, oh, right.
Listen, you dealt with my complete technical breakdown last time, and you still were willing to speak to me again. So I appreciate it. Thanks.
It was my pleasure. It was my pleasure. So keep on kit bashing, and I'll talk to you next time.
All right. Talk to you later, Drew.
All right.